Good evening, bonsoir, erecto, and namaste everyone. Welcome to another session of our executive webinar series. This is part of our knowledge sharing initiative, and we try to bring to you senior executives and leaders and subject matter experts from around the globe to share their experiences and insights on a variety of topics. Some of you already know about Institute of Product Leadership, but I'm sure there are a lot of new attendees. For their benefit too, let me give you a small peek into what the Institute is all about. We are into executive education on product leadership, product marketing, data science, etc. We have been very happy to have 1,500 plus successful and happy alumni. We have also had the opportunity to work with many companies, as you can see here. We are associated with various universities like PES University in Bangalore, CMI University in Bangalore, MIT University in Pune, etc. Our executive MBA program, or the EMBA, as we fondly call it, our flagship program, is one of a kind in the world. We also have various online skill boot camps such as data science, agile, product marketing, storytelling, etc. Please have a look at our website. We will be sharing the URL shortly. So this is something I don't want you all to miss out on, the ICPM program. This is a 5-month certification product management program for seasoned tech professionals. The admission for the February batch is open. Please don't miss the opportunity. The URL will be shared in the chat window, and go ahead and check out the details. What if this is your door for a better career? And so I want to give you a quick overview of the format of our webinar. So we do 45 minutes of presentation by our eminent speaker and 15 minutes of Q&A session after that. You can type your questions in the chat window, which you can see on your control panel of the Zoom meeting, or you can tweet to @ProdLeader, #ProdEvents. Now, to the exciting part of the webinar. So let me introduce the speaker, excuse me, our executive speaker for the day, Mr. Olivier Thierry, or OT, has over 30 years of experience in several areas of technology. His experience spans startups to mature public companies. Throughout his career, he has been called upon to be the key spokesperson in technical, executive, and internal forums. And this 2 minutes or 5 minutes of introduction to our speaker, Mr. Oti, does not do any justice. You could go to LinkedIn and check him out. 30 years of experience is not something that I should attempt to explain in 2 minutes time. So, but one thing, let me tell you something very interesting about Mr. Oti. He has a sweet connect with India. He was in India in 1984, and he speaks a little bit of Hindi, which we find, as panelists, we find very endearing. And today's webinar, so we have Product Marketing 2.0, how technology is exploding the role and impact of B2B marketing. So please, I will hand over the session to Mr. Olivier soon, and please send in your questions. The best question gets a book. The winner of the best question, he gets this book, Full Funnel Marketing by Matt Hines. And without much ado and without taking much time, I'm handing over the session to Mr. Oti. Oti, you can start sharing your screen now.
Thank you, Menaka, I appreciate it. Namaste, everybody. Hopefully, I will keep everybody awake this evening with I think, which will be hopefully a presentation that you'll find interesting. So let me share my screen with you right now. And I should have said "Aap kaise ho," or maybe "Hame aapse milkar bahut khushi hui." So hopefully that's probably the extent of what my Hindi is for tonight. So my topic is how technology is exploding the role and impact of B2B product marketers. We're living in a time where there's tremendous change. But it's such a vast topic that what I thought I would do first is make sure that I give you the context into which we're going to have our webinar for this evening. So the context is really all about the go-to-market and sales enablement segments of the adaptive productizing process framework that you're all familiar with. So the area that we're going to be talking about is right in here, the go-to-market and sales enablement areas. But of course, you know, there are many other areas of product management, product marketing, technical product ownership. But for this evening's purpose, we're going to be talking about go-to-market and sales enablement. Now, in the world that we're living in, especially since the rise of the internet and the digital world, product marketing is vastly different than what it was even 3 to 4 years ago. 93% of customers use digital early in their buying process. 94% use it in the middle of the buying process, and 83% use it late in the buying process. What worked even 2 years ago from a product marketing perspective is now almost considered obsolete. Marketing organizations need to change at a dramatic pace. I mean, we're seeing that speed increase, and we're seeing all of these various influences, and we're moving from product marketing 1.0 to product marketing 2.0, where the buyer is different, the marketing strategy is different, the omni-channel strategy is very different. The Martech stack, which we'll spend a lot of time on, is extremely different. Everything around operations, analytics, the organization is all different. In fact, I would say too that we're living in a world where there's probably the death of advertising as we knew it. So we have to find new ways using technology to cut through the noise and find in-the-moment buyers with relevant, relatable content. Now that's easy to say, but very, very difficult to do, very challenging to do. So what I thought I'd do is give you a little bit of a landscape of where I think the changes are occurring, and then we'll zoom in on a few of those areas because we can't touch all of it in one session. So from a product marketing 1.0 to product marketing 2.0 evolution perspective, the very first one is buyers. So the buyers in a 1.0 world, and this is, think back even 5, 6, 7 years ago, were largely sales-led, generally uninformed in the sense that they didn't have at their disposal a lot of tools to be able to investigate online, to be able to do things online, to be able to get relevant content. So there were fewer buyers involved in what I'm calling, or what the market calls, a demand unit or buying unit. In the 2.0 world, it's marketing led, it's online, it's digitally informed, and there are many people involved in the decision. In fact, we're in this demand unit or buying unit. In fact, Gartner would claim today that there are roughly 9 members of a buying unit for a B2B purchase. The next one is all about the marketing strategy. In a 1.0 world, it's impersonal, it's push-oriented, it's one-size messaging fits all. So whether I'm dialoguing with the CIO or the CFO or a business analyst, I'm sending the same message and I'm pushing it out there multiple times. In a 2.0 world, it's pull-oriented. We have the CFO or the business analyst reaching out. It's persona-based. We're trying to do one-to-one personalized marketing at scale, and we're doing that through the auspices of being digitally enabled. Our channel strategy is different in a 2.0 world. In a 1.0 world, it was mostly offline, high touch. In fact, it involved a lot of direct involvement from personalized selling, or maybe some email. In a 2.0 world, it's mostly online, it's social, it's syndicated, and it's consumer-like. PR and awareness, again, I think here this is changing. Classic PR as we knew it is actually on the decrease. What we're finding now is that you need to tell branded stories. You need to drive thought leadership. It needs to be personal. It needs to be social. Frankly, if you look at reviews, product peer reviews now are more important than a case study published by a vendor. Most of the classic vendor PR and essentially storytelling that has been in the past has been viewed as vendor-centric and not terribly trusted. But whatever can be crowdsourced right now and tells a real story that involves the personal content that buyers like will get much more stickiness. So that world is changing. In terms of the sales and marketing alignment, what was once siloed, reactive, mostly manual and sequential, now is basically automated, data-driven, it's real-time, it's collaborative, and it's collaborative through connected tools and a connected strategy. The organization design, what was rigid, hierarchical, and siloed is now integrated, agile, and fast. It's nimble, it can respond, and we're doing that really at the speed of digital thought is really what's happening here. So you'll get a sense that pace, when you move from consumer style marketing into B2B marketing or vice versa, we're taking on some of the attributes of consumer style marketing in B2B. And that means that we're in the moment, we're fast, we are reacting in near real time. So the Martech strategy or the marketing technology stack is vastly different, and it's growing daily. What was once outbound and lead-based and primarily email automation and with a CRM at its core, where we had this spray and pray, I like to call it, where we spray emails out and hope that we get some deals that fall through. Now it's more inbound and account-based. Why is it inbound and account-based? Because it's predictive. We're using tools like AI, we're targeting, we're personalized, and we're in the moment. So the Martech strategy is hugely important in this 2.0 world. Analytics, lead counts, activity-based, periodic, waterfall, last touch attribution. These were all part of what we would call the classic demand waterfall methodology, which I'll lead you through, and I'll be using a lot of examples of what we're doing at Quorum, so you'll get a sense of what it is that we're talking about. But now it's something, we're moving to something, and we're evolving into something that's much more integrated, continuous. It's real time. We're doing multi-touch attribution. We're correlating those results with what we're seeing, and we're reacting in near real time. So finally, the skills that you're going to need, and we're going to touch on this in a very deep way towards the end of the webinar, you're still going to need to be creatively wired, if you will, but you really need to understand data, business analytics, data science. These are going to become very important skills in the marketing 2.0 world. All right, let's take a couple of these. Let's take buyer and marketing strategy and just do a little deeper dive on those. And then after that, we'll focus on the Martech strategy. So from a buyer's perspective, in the 1.0 world, we knew them. We had a one-to-one interaction where the human contact controlled a lot of the sales cycle. We informed them through vendor content, data sheets, white papers, with facts like speeds and feeds. Our channels were traditional trade publications. Even if they were online, they were still trade publications. We did outbound calling, we did emails, trade shows, and the vendor's messaging was, for the most part, trusted. And it's been a sequential sales cycle engagement. You went through the waterfall, you went through the demand waterfall in a very sequential way. Now, since in this new world, since 75% of the buying research is done online and offline, well before engaging with a vendor. So even if I'm selling B2B software, which we do on our website, and we do as a company, 75% of the research about our products is being done in an anonymous fashion before a prospect has ever identified themselves to us. B2B has an average of 9 stakeholders in the demand unit. That's a Gartner statistic. B2B buyers expect now a consumer-like buying experience, and we'll touch on that on the next slide. And the buyers interact in parallel across many different channels. So they're interacting not just to your web, to your email or your trade show. They're doing that, but they're also on social, right? They're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, they're on events like webinars, for example, and they're coming at you across many different channels within the same sales cycle and as part of a demand unit made up of several constituents. And finally, social and peer influence is important due to the inherent lack that there is in vendor trust. They want to know what their friends think about that B2B product. They want to understand what the industry thinks about that B2B product. So it's not just what the vendor messaging is, it's what the entire industry or peer network believes it is. If this is a research study it's fairly recent, but it was done by Salesforce Research, and it shows you some keywords here that I like here, which are the expectations of, in B2B selling for a consumer-like experience. And it breaks it out by millennials, Gen Xers, and traditionalists like me, which is a baby boomer, born well before 1965, unfortunately. But look at the keywords below: personalized, Amazon-like, retail-like, consumer-like. This is what the world is in B2B marketing now. So if we think about B2B marketing in a classic 1.0 world, we were none of those. We were not personalized. We were not Amazon-like. We were not retail-like. We were not consumer-like. This is the shift that's happening, and it's being done with great support from a Martech stack that's evolving as we speak. Now let's look at the strategy. So with that in mind, so if the buyers are changing, what do we need to do differently? Well, first of all, we need to evolve from what was traditionally lead-based marketing to account-based marketing, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. So in the world of lead-based marketing, we have the same message for all members of the buying unit. There's lots of outreach to prospects that really don't know who we are, or even if they're ready to buy. For example, if I just bought a car and then you're sending me information on buying a new car, I'm totally turned off by it. I'm not interested. What I really want to be able to do is send you information when you're starting to think and do the research about buying a car. So it's the next best in the moment set of content that drives outcomes. That's kind of the 2.0 world. In the marketing world of 1.0, the classic marketing mix was PR, calls, email, trade shows, partners, print, online, advertising, etc. Now the marketing mix is online, it's education heavy, thought leadership, it's very targeted, there's a lot of social influence. The advertising, if we do any, is micro-targeted, and it's based on predictive intent. I communicate to you, I advertise to you based on some signal that we've picked up on that you're in the market. So you'll start to hear a lot of the words like signals in the marketplace. These are becoming really the keywords for how product marketing is changing from the 1.0 world to 2.0. And then finally, in the 2.0 world, we're using data-driven insights to drive outcomes, and we're using automation for immediacy. If somebody's in the market and we believe that they're in the market, we want to get there first. We want to get there immediately as they're starting to do their research. So that's the strategy. And if you look at, well, how does that affect some of the content that we're used to building? Well, it changes it dramatically. The content needs to be persona-based in the moment with next best content served up to match the journey, right? So using our car analogy, if I've started to think about a car, right, I might want to first understand how to configure a car online before you're telling me what the financing options are, right? So again, it's part of aligning the content with the journey, with where we believe the buying intent is for that given, not only that prospect, but potentially that buying unit. In the B2B world, you're not the only person involved in making a car purchase decision. There are 9 individuals potentially involved at, for example, making an ERP software buy decision. So the content must flow across the channels where multiple buyers reside that form that buying unit. So the content needs to be more engaging. We need to have an understanding of what works. We need to find better ways to repurpose what we're doing, since we're having, if we want to personalize things, then we therefore need to make sure that we can take chunks of that and repurpose it at different moments for different buyers. We need to become better storytellers. And part of that is by better understanding our audience. So content creation, delivery, and timing is extremely different in a B2B 2.0 world. But fortunately, we've got tools that can help us. In fact, there are a lot of tools. Just in this category alone, there's a great website I highly recommend. If you go to chiefmartech.com, it's listed on the bottom. And these charts were produced by Scott Brinker from Marketing Technology Media. And this is just one segment of all of the tooling and infrastructure that's available to product marketers. In fact, there are over 7,000 tools at last count in the marketing world. This is just the marketing automation and campaign lead management area. And what started off as maybe 15 or so tools in 2011 has grown dramatically. And now there are 212 vendors, in fact, growing from 16 to 17 by 36%. So it's significant. So let's turn our attention to a little bit about what we're doing inside of Quorum, because we started using some of these marketing automation and campaign lead management tools, and we implemented our own funnel metrics and funnel automation. So what you'll see on this slide here is a classic Serious Decisions waterfall methodology, and that's what we've implemented. So the funnel on the right, we're going from behavioral targeting and awareness. We're taking all these suspects that are out there looking at our website or on the social channels, and we're trying to engage with them to be able to get them to come into our funnel and give us their name and contact info. So we do segmentation, we're looking at behavioral searches, we're doing outreach to these not yet identified individuals. And once they then go to our website and say, you know what, I want to download that website or that data sheet, or that I want to look at that video, they then become an MCL, a marketing captured lead for us. And they become part of this engine over here, which is, in this case here, we're using Pardot, which is part of Salesforce. And what we do is we put them into an engagement stream, an automation stream, where, okay, so Menaka has come to our website, she's downloaded or looked at a video, and she's given us her name and contact info. We now know that she's interested in our LAN system. So then she then gets put into the LAN engagement stream. And then we have logic built in to deliver further content to Menaka along the way, and we're scoring Menaka. So every time she touches the next piece of content, we're scoring her. Every time she's making decisions on what to view, what not to view, we're scoring her, until she hits a threshold, a scoring threshold, where she becomes an automated marketing qualified lead. This then gets sent over to our inside business development team, who then would reach out to Menaka and say, hey, Menaka, we're having a webinar next week, or are you interested in seeing the software live? So we do further qualification using our inside business development reps. And then these become essentially further qualified and become sales qualified leads at 10% inside of our Salesforce.com instance. So this funnel from MCL to MQL to sales accepted lead, which is our BD qualified, to SQLs, is routinely what we do at Quorum. So a little bit about how we organize the content around that. So remember I said we would put Menaka into an engagement stream. Well, this is kind of what it looks like pictorially. We basically are putting up assets, marketing assets that have logic associated with them based on where Menaka might be in the buying stage. So again, I'm not going to put an ROI calculator in front of a new prospect when they're interested in just finding out more about the product. That would come as part of the qualification assets later in the buying cycle. So think of this as a structured engagement logic stream with marketing assets that mirrors the buying stages. How do we do that? Well, on this example, these are screenshots from actually the systems that we use internally. So we do that by first, on the right, creating what we call a drip campaign, which is inside of Engagement Studio in Pardot. And you can see that this is the logic that we would have: start, apply tags, send email, send second email, wait 10 days, send the third, wait 2 days, do something else. And this is an example of the associated content in that stage. And then there's a logic decision. Do we do this? Yes. Do we do this? No. Then wait 1 day, then do the following. So this is essentially how we create the engagement logic linked to the assets, linked to the buying stages. And then we have more than one drip campaign running for more than one product. So you'll see here, this is the report of all the drip programs that we've got running. And then this, if you see this arrow here, leads us over to, well, how are they converting? How's this, is it working? What do we need to change? Do we need to change the Engagement Studio? Is this piece of content converting? So we have other reports that show us how the content is converting. And then overall, this is how the conversions look for all of the different drip campaigns. This then drives funnel performance. So you can't read it here, perhaps it's too small, but this is visitors, prospects, MQLs, SQLs, closed deals. And then this is the stage: how many days to prospects, days to MQL, MQL to SQL, SQL to 1, etc. So this is how all of the automation ties together between the top of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel, and of course the sales portion of the funnel. Right. Now we measure overall performance on a regular basis, right? So we, if you look at this next slide, this is again our funnel on the left. But this is the kind of reporting. I'm going to make you focus on this bottom portion of the slide. So the funnel on the left is what you've already been exposed to. But what we're doing is we're measuring at the top of the funnel website performance, awareness, ads, events, click-through rates, PR, social footprint, SEO, all of that. So this is an example here of page views and visitors, etc. In the middle of the funnel, this is once we have you as an from MCL all the way through to close business. This is where we start measuring the effectiveness of the drip campaigns, the retargeting ads that we're doing, the content engagement, the pipeline coverage at the bottom of the funnel, the cost per lead, and the opportunity contribution. What was the effectiveness of marketing to contribute to close deals? So these are some of the dashboards that we have, and this is everything that we look at in terms of measuring modern 2.0 marketing progress. So I did mention that this, the methodology that we're using is the demand waterfall methodology, which is basically what looks like this diagram in the middle of this chart. But the world is changing. So we're actually evolving even at Quorum, and we're moving towards something called demand unit marketing. So let's think about that for a minute. What came through this funnel here were leads. So this was a member of potentially a demand unit that we qualified. So using again, Manaka as an example. So Manaka was a member of this demand unit. She viewed a webinar, she viewed a video, she did certain things, and she scored. We sent her to our inside BD team, and they said, yes, we think there's a great opportunity. And we've qualified that opportunity for that account based on one contact. Well, that's, we think, a flawed way to look at it, because Manaka might not be alone in that demand unit to go buy enterprise class software. In fact, she won't be. So there's something that's happening in this industry, and it's happening right now. We're beginning to evolve to something called the demand unit waterfall, where we're actually qualifying not just Manaka, but we're qualifying the entire demand unit. So the CFO, the CIO, the ERP business analyst, for example, all of these folks that make up the demand unit. And what we're doing is creating a new waterfall methodology to actually engage with the unit, qualify the unit way upstream before they become essentially deals that we're looking at in the sales pipeline. So this is fundamentally very different. So as we're saying, a demand unit is very different from individual marketing. We're considering marketing to the entire unit here. So if this is an ERP buying unit, and there might be more than these 6 people listed, but we have to understand how these people are related. These personas are related. So segmenting leads or associating them to demand units lets us market and sell into the entire account. So this is where we start to make the transition from lead marketing to account-based marketing. So this is really demand unit segmentation. And this is kind of how it's different, right? In the world of marketing qualified lead, we have one person that we're talking to. It's the basis for business to person marketing, right? Prospects self-identify after qualifying in. In late stage, marketing opens up competition. So we're really talking about an individual. When we start thinking about marketing to the demand unit, we are already considering that there are multiple buyer personas that we have to account for. And we are identifying these participants early in the buying journey and using predictive analytics to really understand the makeup and how to appeal to these various personas. So this is very, very different form of product marketing. And again, this is what's happening right now in the industry. There's this transition to account-based marketing. This is what we're talking to. So here's an example, specifically this is a report from a product that we use internally called 6 Sense. And I've blanked out the account names and the websites and the account owners, for example. But you can see on this slide, what we're looking at is these are all the accounts that we believe are in market using a tool called 6 Sense. And 6 Sense uses predictive AI-based analytics to be able to understand if there's a likelihood for this buying unit to purchase, this account to purchase. So this is the intent score. If it's a good fit with previous, so we've modeled what a great fit looks like for the purchase of our product. So is this account a great ideal fit? And then finally, where are they based on all of the work that they're doing, if they're starting their research, or are they along from their research, are they in consideration, are they in the decision phase? So this is the determination of where the prospect is in the buying cycle. So this is essentially reports that we're using today, using 6th Sense AI-based predictive analytics. We're using these to help better determine, is an account ready for us to talk to them even before they've potentially identified themselves to us? So that's kind of interesting. And if you look at it, you can't just look at accounts alone. You still have to look at leads or individuals or contacts. So these would be the contacts. And you can see here, so these are all the contacts for, for this. So this is a land category, and this is a landman. This is a senior contracts landman. This is an owner. This is a manager, et cetera. So these are the lead titles. But on the lead scoring, what we're looking at is an AI-based determination of the likelihood to purchase. So that's their intent. The profile fit, is this an ideal prospect? And then finally, what do we think about this? Is this a good, so if somebody said that they were, a consultant, we might grade them as lesser, as less important than perhaps, perhaps somebody else who's higher up the hierarchy. So again, we're looking at both accounts and leads, and we're merging these two worlds together in the world of account-based marketing. So how does it come together? This is how it comes together. Basically, you have contacts and leads, like we talked about before, that are a member of a demand unit. The demand unit is a part of an account, and the account itself has essentially its own set of intent scores and profile fit, but so do the contacts and leads. So for example, if we think that an account has strong fit with a high intent score, that's great. Well, what about the contacts that are in here? What's their intent score, and are they a good fit? If that's the CEO who's expressing a strong desire, well, that's a great fit. So you can see how we're linking both account marketing and contact lead marketing to create a singular view of what's happening with the buying unit. And listed at the bottom, you'll see that if we had an account buying stage, they're in the awareness stage, the profile fit is weak, their account product intent score is 21. The contact profile fit is weak. The contact product intent score is 15. You're probably going to go, you know what? That's not a great fit for us. We don't need to go and look at that. However, if the buying stage is they're in the purchase area, they have a strong profile fit, they have a strong intent score, the contacts themselves are strong and have a strong product intent, well, then we should be alerted to that fact. And in fact, the software systems that we use will alert you to that. So once we have determined that, wow, we know who they are, we know that they're part of a demand unit, we know where they are in the sales buy cycle, if you will, we know what their buying intent is and their profile fit, we probably need to reach out to them. And of course, we don't want to do it in a 1-0 way, which is pray and spray and just send the same message to everybody. What we really want to start looking at is personalization. So this next slide talks about the notion of collecting information about the demand unit members, building universal persona profiles. So let's use, again, I'm going to use Menaka as an example. So let's say Menaka has come to our website or through several channels. Every time she's been in contact with Quorum through one of our social channels, our website, or downloaded stuff, we are tagging her experience. And we're beginning to collect the profile of what Menaka looks like inside of our data lake. So Menaka is an executive persona. She has decision-making authority. We believe that she is a landman. We believe that she's visited the site more than 5 times. She's viewed this product more than that other product. This is her favorite feature. She's a blog fan. She's got, she reads a lot of our customer-centric materials. So essentially, we're collecting unique attributes by persona to assist in reaching out to Menaka in a very personalized, real-time way. So the importance here is that we tag everything. All of the interactions are tagged based on a persona that is a member of a buying unit or demand unit, so that we can market not only to Menaka as a member of the demand unit, but we can also create content that cuts across different personas. So we can say, you know what, Menaka, this is also going to be useful for your CFO. And so essentially the content has essentially a slight push towards sharing more information about the entire demand unit in the content, so it becomes relevant to the demand unit as well as to the individual. How do we do this? Well, we collect and we tag every activity that's happening in the website, social, events, account information. So we unify all those data sources, and we're collecting firmographic and technographic information so we can enrich the profile of that individual, of that member of the demand unit. And again, as I mentioned, this is stored in a data lake. This then feeds our new campaign engine. So now all of a sudden we're marketing into this demand unit. We're marketing to individuals within this demand unit, but we understand that. We can personalize the content. We can do cross demand unit content. We can do personalized landing pages, personalized emails, outreach targeted digital advertising that's unique to that individual. So all of these can become personalized interactions. All of the attributes and events, again, are collected across all of the omni-channel push here. So this is really where modern product marketing 2.0 is heading. And by now your head is spinning going, wow, this is a lot to digest. If you thought that was a lot to digest, hang on, this is the slide. So, and this is our roadmap at Quorum. This is the blueprint of what we've been building at Quorum. And we are probably, if you look at, the different stages here, arrive, capture, uncover, engage, sync, predict, enrich, we're right here. So we're starting to now make the switch from lead marketing to account-based marketing. We're using predictive technologies, some of those that you saw in those slides. And we're also starting to think about how we're going to implement the next stage of Telium. We use Telium IQ to do tagging, but to use Telium Audience Stream to do that persona, universal persona profile and enrichment. This is the enrichment, the attribution, and then putting all of that in a data lake so that we can actually then do the following, which is personalized real-time content based on universal persona profiles. So anytime you come to one of our websites, whether you came in as earned media, you read an article that was awesome, or through an email, SEO, referred, social, or you came in through paid, you're interacting with some of our resources on our website, we tag all of your interactions. We use Telium IQ to do that. You are then put into our Pardot Salesforce engagement stream. This is evolving from individual lead marketing to demand unit marketing. We use 6 Sense for predictive and behavioral targeting, and we're using Telium to actually create universal persona profiles. That's not yet, but we are working with Telium right now to do this implementation as we move into 2019. So we're probably 2/3 along the way in our journey of building out this roadmap, and we have a few months left to go, but it's a pretty exciting journey. And by now you should be getting a clear sense that this is a different world for you to operate in. And so what skills? What skills do you need? Well, Martech is changing the landscape for product marketing. If you look at the Forbes Communication Council, 16 skills every marketing pro should master, I've highlighted those in red that I believe have a direct automation Martech influence. Obviously, rich data science, omni-channel communications, working with automation software, cutting through the hype. The only way you can cut through the hype is not only through clever messaging and clever content, but you need to know how to target that in the moment, in the right context. So that means that you need to have automation skills to do that. Measuring results in granular detail, managing digital knowledge of your brand, actionable analytics, understanding your audience. These are all areas where you need to have digital fluency. And if you look at the one on the right, this is already 2 years old, this chart. Data literacy, understanding digital media, understanding Martech. I mean, these are the skills that are growing across, not only in the US, across the globe. This next, and this is my second to last slide. So hopefully we've been keeping you awake late at night in India. This is the marketing. This is a functional view of my marketing organization as it's evolving. And you'll see on the right, product and customer marketing, where we have 3 pillars there: customer experience and marketing innovation. We do strategy, planning, agency management, and then product marketing. So essentially think of that as content, creative, branded storytelling. All of that is basically on that right-hand side. On the left, in most marketing organizations, you would normally see something called Marcom. And Marcom is really is really embodied now in something that I'm relabeling digital operations, since everything that we do is really digital. So we need to be able to understand, all of the digital processes and how it's performing. Our programs, execution, and management is really all about being digital. We basically are starting to build up a little bit more of the marketing IT function within our organization. And then our delivery operations, this is really in support of all of this, is graphics, video, field and industry events, omni-channel delivery, social, et cetera, paid social. So this is really the evolution as I see it. And so maybe perhaps some of you, as you're doing furthering your education, are looking at opportunities to see how your skills fit into this kind of framework, because I think this is going to become more prevalent as we move forward. And then finally, I think my last slide, and it's really those that I think are critical, the foundational skills to what product marketing 2.0 needs to be in the future. You can never get away with not having the best content, but your content needs to tell a real story, that starts a conversation. You need to think holistically about your content across all of the multi-channel experience that your B2B buyers are going to have. You need to educate your audience throughout the buyer journey. And you need to use influencers, use peer networking, peer reviews to drive the brand. Even if you're doing great content, management, web analytics, and digital project management are going to be key skills to have as a content creator. On the right side, there's this whole area of growth called Martech and data science that is growing. So most large businesses rely on a Martech stack, anywhere from 10 to 40 solutions, and we're no different at Quorum. Finding professionals with these skills is a challenge. It's not easy. In fact, finding somebody who even understands the blueprint that I showed you is rare. In the little bit of research that I've done, a VP of Martech can probably command maybe $140,000 to $210,000 US, depending on work history and solution-specific knowledge. So it is quite lucrative, and it's a very different. A VP of Martech Solutions is not a job function that existed a couple of years ago, maybe not even last year. And furthermore, as we transition into a more AI-driven marketplace, expect demand, the bill rates and salaries for these in-demand Martech skills to continue their trajectory upwards. So I wish you tremendous success in your career and in your furthering your education. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this formal part of the webinar and turn it over to the panelists to see if you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oti. It was such a thought-provoking session. Thank you so much. We have received some questions on the Q&A window. Before we get on to the Q&A window, we have received some questions through mail also, which I'm going to read out to you right now.
Okay.
So this question is from Isa from Indonesia. How to manage B2B with limited data market? So he's worried about limited data market.
Limited data market in how to manage B2B in a limited data market with little data information. Is that?
Yes, that is his question.
You can actually, the way you can do that is you can also do a lot of A/B testing, right? So essentially, you can start creating your own sense of what the buyers prefer by using your website as an A/B test weapon. So I think that's another way to think about how you can do that. So even if you don't necessarily need to have all of the metrics. What you need to have is compelling reasons for somebody to go to your site and then measure their response to what you're putting up. And I think this will then start to grow the metrics, your metrics database.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from Bipin. With so many marketing tools, what 3 features or benefits will I sell to the tech team to effectively have this integrated into my web real estate?
This is always the most important question. And, frankly, we've done this outside of the tech team. I've done it using agencies and put it as a separate island within marketing. Frankly, the only way this gets approved is if there's a return on investment, right? So essentially we have to prove that we're going to get predominantly more inbound leads. We're going to get and opportunities rather. And with that, with the opportunities that we're going to get, we should be able to then see an increase in our conversion rates. So essentially what we do is when we create the business case for buying the next automation tool, we're doing so by looking at the conversion rates for opportunities, and also driving a net increase in volume as well. So both dimensions are used in justifying this.
Thank you. We have another question from Ajay Shah. How many of these features on marketing automation tools do clients even use? How many do we sell during sales demo? Most clients don't use most of the great features.
True. If you look at, how many features do you use in Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint? I believe that it's the 80-20 rule, right? So there are some power users in the organization that would use more features than I would use in our predictive analytics. For example, if I think of Pardot and the Engagement Studio, I have in our team, we have an amazing, talented lady who works with perhaps 75% of the tool set's capability, whereas I would only use maybe 15 or 20%. So it really depends on the use case, but in general, you're correct. There will be an 80-20 for all tools. 20% of a particular tool has significant value that is worth investing in. And then 80% will be spread across certain areas where those are nice to haves. But when you're making that purchase decision, you're not evaluating 100% of the features. You're looking at the 20% that represents the most important functionality that you need to integrate into your stack.
Thank you. And Oti, are you able to see the Q&A window?
Yes, I can.
So we have 10 questions. Would you like me to read it out, or do you want to just go through it and answer?
Yes, so tell me which one are we starting? These are the 10 starting at the top?
Yes, so we can start from Abhishek Pratap Singh in the top.
Okay, so let's start. So I'm going to start with what are the different signals caught by the 6 Sense tool to differentiate strong versus medium to versus weak leads? So this is a good question. So the first thing that they do is we've actually modeled, we took two of our products and we modeled what is the ideal cycle from closed purchase. We went backwards all the way through to when we first noticed that a prospect was doing research to acquire such a product. And we create, essentially, with the 6 Sense people, create a model of what that product, that life cycle looks like from start of research to closed deal, right? And so with that, they then use their AI engine to go into the internet and all through all the sources that they've got. And they're looking for pattern matches of that model to say how many people first of all fit that. So what kind of person is that? What are they looking at? What kind of company are they in? Okay, so that's a good profile fit. Then they're looking at, well, what stage of that? Oh, they're doing advanced research. So they're now deep into the consideration phase. Or they might have also been in contact with other vendors that they can see through their research. So they're in the purchase phase. So these are all the signals based on the ideal model per product that we've built out in 6 Sense. So that's how we do that. Account-based strategy is more targeting enterprise level companies rather than small. No, actually it's not, because it's not, for example, it depends on what I would consider to be the length of the sales cycle. So if you've got, in some cases, you might have a very quick sales cycle. Well, you might be missing out on a lot of deals that you didn't even know were happening because they were in market, but you missed that opportunity. So actually we use it quite a bit at the lower end of the pyramid. So at Quorum, we sell to the very large super major, companies like the Shells and the Exxons, but we also sell to startups in the oil and gas industry that are only a handful of employees. And so for us, understanding their buying intent well before our competitors, we tend to do that using 6 Sense as well. So it's not necessarily just for enterprise scale tools. It can be, in fact, it's also used heavily in consumer products as well. So 6 Sense, if you go to their website, you'll see that it's even used for consumer-based products.
Thank you. So would you like to go to the next question?
Yeah, it's disappeared. I can't see it on my screen right now.
It's on the it's on the Q&A window.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. How should the transition happen from 1.0 to 2.0, since it may require a major change in the perception and skill set, including the traditional habits across the various stakeholders? Well, first of all, it takes, vision and leadership, which is, these are obviously easy to say, but they're difficult to achieve. But I think what happens is that, you build with small successes. When I came to Quorum 4 years ago, none of this existed. It was very much let's do events, let's do print advertising, let's do as much as we can, and then let's hope and see what falls out of that. There was no demand waterfall. There was no funnel metrics, no automation. So we built all of this in 3.5 years in what is a fairly sizable software company. So it is possible, but it requires commitment. In some cases, it required a new staff. I mean, frankly, some folks can transition to it. Some did, and some actually just were not capable of making that transition. Okay, how is the product confidentiality maintained in 2.0? If I use the case of like product confidentiality in the software that we sell, for example, that is maintained through content, through how we gate the content. So in other words, we are in the process of putting up a test drive facility for our software products, and we are going to vet who signs up for that in order to make sure that it's not a competitor necessarily who's testing our software, but a real prospect. So it really comes down to how you design the website interaction together with how you create content, what becomes gated, if you will, that requires a name or contact info. And then in some cases, including software, where we actually will send credentials that have an expiration date. So hopefully that answers your question. How are you asking people to tell their name and email to you? So if you hide behind the name, okay. So Amit, this is a really interesting question. So what is interesting is when you use 6 Sense. So one of the things that they do is through some of their technology, they're able to identify that Amit is actually. Let's suppose that Amit, you were coming to our website using a very different email address than your business address, but you were basically surfing the web, and you were coming to our site, but you hadn't identified yourself to us. 6 Sense will actually be able to discover through a lot of IP addresses and device IDs. They're able to address that. You know what? Amit is actually always connected to this ISP, and this ISP is always connected to this ISP over here, and it really relates to a Shell account domain. So you might be a member of Shell.com, and then they use that. They pattern match the device ID with IP addresses to be able to uncover that, Amit is really a member of the Shell account team looking at land products, in which case then I send you a micro-targeted ad. So you haven't identified yourself to me, but all of a sudden you'd see an ad from Quorum to and wherever you are, Amit, and it would say, Amit, you should really look at our land systems. And you're going to go, wow, how did you know I was looking at your land systems? And that's the magic of using an AI-based, tool set to really do product marketing. I'll do one more, and I think we're almost at time. Digital transformation.
We could take 5 minutes more if it's okay with you.
That's fine. Digital transformation solutions for big industrial plants is more of co-creation. How do you outsmart competitor when you don't have a ready solution to communicate to the customer? So obviously we're doing digital transformation for oil and gas, and we do that with co-creation. So essentially for example, a lot of the software that we've built over the last 20 years has been done jointly with our customers. And you outsmart your competitors by actually being in the forefront of innovation. So you can actually, for example, sit down with a customer and say, you know what, we have a great platform. So for example, we have a cloud-enabled services-oriented architecture that enables us to build, a state-of-the-art user experience for your solution. So I think that that's part of it. So being able to innovate faster, being able to create a solution that's compelling, telling that story, but you'll always end up co-creating. Especially if you're in large industrial plants or even in the oil and gas industry, there's no way you can start and create an off-the-shelf software product with that much DNA that's required, off the shelf. So you have to co-create. So it's something that's taken us 20 years. We've got 20 years of building software, with 10 major software products across, a whole energy value chain. Let's go to Tarun's question. So this account-based strategy is more targeting enterprise-level companies rather than small companies because of the huge. No, I think we addressed that one. So I think I covered that.
Sure. Thank you. Oti, since we have only 5 minutes, you can scroll and go through and pick any question of your choice.
Okay, good. Let me see now. Okay. When we say persona-based customized marketing, the cycle time to convert the lead will be longer, right? As I need to identify the lead and their persona's characters and then design something customized? Not necessarily. We know, for example, what the demand unit looks like for a particular product. So for example, we have our land products, and if I'm working in the enterprise segment, I know that it's got 9 or 10 different personas. So I implicitly know that I've got these people that I'm marketing to, and I'm already creating content for those people. At the lower end of the scale, in the smaller, on the small micro cap or startup enterprises, there's only maybe 3 or 4 that make up the demand unit. And it's the same thing. What we're starting to do is create personalized messaging for that persona. So not necessarily the individual, but we know that they are like personas. So Kohinoor, that's how we start the process. And then as we get better, we understand that, oh, you are the individual that has that persona. So then we can actually then get more personalized. So you don't have to wait. You can actually start by having standardized persona descriptions and marketing to those personas. And you should know those as part of your sales cycle. Okay, what kind of costs and time to get here? So everything that you're seeing, I have built out with my team in the last 3.5 years. And I spend roughly out of my marketing, I'll give it to you as a percentage since every organization is different. I spend, which is right in line with what Gartner says, we are about 25% of our marketing spend is on marketing automation, Martech. So that's what you should look to in terms of costs. What do you think? So Ramakrishna, what do you think 2.0 is with respect to product marketers reporting to? Is it for the sales head or product management head? It's interesting. It can go either way. I mean, we at Quorum, product management is within the products team, and product marketing is literally inside of marketing, which is its separate entity, and I report directly to the CEO. So it's that important. So hopefully that's where your career is headed. You'll become a CMO, and then you'll be reporting to a CEO, and you'll be digitally enabled and making a great career. So with that, I think I've run all my time.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing this webinar for us. It's been a great honor to host you, Mr. Oti. And so could you please pick a winner of the best question, the question that you like the most, so that we can announce the winner and close?
I think the persona question was the most. I think it's interesting because I think that's most people trying to figure out how to get started. So I think that one was really interesting.
Perfect. So Mr. Kohinoor.
That's right, Kohinoor. That's right. Right.
Congratulations, Mr. Kohinoor Shanmugam, and thank you, Mr. Oti. So to the attendees, we have more webinars starting from January 8th after the holidays. Please tune in. And you can reach out to us if you need to connect with Mr. Oti. He's available on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if it will be too troublesome for him. So you can send us any questions you have, and we would reach it out to him. And thank you, everybody, and have a very good night. Sleep well. Thank you, Mr. Oti. I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, shukriya. Fir milenge.
Shukriya. Fir milenge. Thank you.